Welcome back to the Fuse Show, everybody. My name is Jim. I'm the co-founder of Xfusion.io and the co-host of the Fuse Show. I'm excited to be joined today by my guest, Abhishek Kaushik. Abhishek loves solving problems related to tech recruiting, and he is the CEO and co-founder of WeCP, which stands for We Create Problems, which I love that name, by the way. And we'll get into that in a second. But WeCP is a skill-based tech hiring software platform. So thanks so much for being with me on the show.
Thank you, Jim. Pleasure to have you.
Let's jump right into this. So I'm going to throw you off a little bit here, but I noticed that your personal mantra you have listed on LinkedIn. You say life needs clarity, conviction, confidence, and connectedness. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, how you develop that, and what you think of each of those.
Well, so it's kind of rhythmic in nature when when you read that. So personally, since early college days, uni days, when I started reading books, exploring the biography of people like really successful people, figured out these four mantras. So it was not something which came on its own, but I really picked it. Like what are those four things which are really important. So to do something really challenging and important in life, you got to like have very you have to have a clear approach towards your thinking. You need to have your clarity in your the approach that you take towards your thinking, especially first principle thinking.
Uh-huh.
Then as an entrepreneur, if you really want to grow, you need to believe in yourself. You need to have that confidence that success takes its time, and you need to have conviction in yourself as well. Connectedness is typically to mean or look out, try to relate with your problems, try to understand how world is moving, what other problems people are solving, and try to relate it with your situations.
I love that. I would love to go more into different aspects of that here in a bit, but let's transition and talk about WeCP. And I should have asked you before we started recording, is that the proper way to pronounce it?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
WeCP is the correct pronunciation.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tell me more about what it is that you all do and the audience that you serve.
So VCP is currently a technical skill assessment software. We help our customers do technical skill evaluation for their candidates. So all the tech recruiters and technical hiring managers, when they go about like hiring candidates, technical talent to the company, they need to evaluate their skills, and we provide that kind of software where they can run some challenges, online coding challenges, online technical skill challenges, and evaluate their performance, and so that they're not biased by looking at the resume or other academic proxies,
Sure.
and rather take their decision based on some data, some evidences about their skills.
Okay, this is a related question that just came to my mind. So when you hire for your company, how much do you care or how much weight do you put in university education versus the candidate just having the skill set to do the role or not?
So, Jim, to be honest, like in our company, we've stopped caring about the university education, as of now. We really care about, their performance, their skills, what do they know. So we are hiring is, based on three pillars. One is like, what do they know? How do they think? And what can they do?
Okay.
Right? So knowledge, thinking, and the practicals. So it's like what do they know, how do they think, and what can they do, right? And these, so we've developed our assessments, our evaluation process to check all these three independently.
So right now, it sounds like you primarily assess for hard skills. Do you also assess for, I guess, what would be considered more soft skills in terms of communication competence, even like trait conscientiousness, empathy, some of these other qualities that are softer?
Not automatically, but yeah, we do provide video interview tool wherein the interviewer can actually talk to the person face to face, and have an automated feedback system where they can provide feedback to the candidates and record the observations. But it's not automated. It's purely human. It's going to record and
Mhm.
put into the system.
The timing is really great for this conversation because my co-founder Dave and I have been talking a lot about our hiring, and we're a people-based business, and I mean it's
Hmm.
just absolutely critical that we hire talented individuals and also those that have high degrees of empathy and communication skills, um, conscientiousness, attention to detail, all of those things. And that's honestly rather difficult to assess for. And I'm kind of jealous of the the organizations that it can assess for those hard skills more easily. But it's just it's tough. It's tough to find the ideal candidate.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah, it's the only power that humans have, and still AI is not able to do so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. So what's the genesis story? I mean, how did you all come up with the idea of WeCP?
So the story goes back 6 years back, Jim. Me and my roommate in uni. The typical startup journey.
Yeah.
We we started. We used to love setting up coding contests. In our university, we used to set up coding challenges for our junior batches. Or for conducting an online hackathon or coding contests in our university. And uh, in our pre-final year, we observed that a lot of companies who come to campus for hiring people, their coding contests have repetitive problems. They're either picked up from internet or they're picked up and tweaked a bit, from the internet. So
Okay.
we found a lot of guys actually cracking tests without even having knowledge, because the solutions were available and there was a lot of gaps in the online assessment by the companies. Number one, the question were seen questions, they were available on internet. And number two, people used to cream the solutions and go about typing them
Yeah.
and passing the exam. So we wanted to solve this problem, and we understood this is something which is really critical because company without unknowingly they're getting a bad hire, right? So imagine the cost of a bad hire. It's like
Yes.
then
Yeah.
we went to doing research about the feasibility of the market, and we then started building a software which can create coding contest questions on its own. So we started building an AI which can create questions on its own, and natural
Great.
language processing was still a research subject, and still it is research subject. But we ended up making a minimum viable product which can generate questions on its own, using AI.
Brilliant.
But then we wanted to jump into the market. We wanted to understand our customers. Is that the problem they want to solve? We did a lot of research. We did a lot of conversation with our customers. Understood. Hey, do you need the software which can create questions automatically? None of our customers said yes. So we still couldn't find our ideal customer persona. And then for 2 3 years we sold just questions. Typically semi product, semi service kind of offering to our partners, recruiters.
Okay.
And then we built our own software where these recruiters, technical recruiters, can use our questions and pull the questions in our product itself and conduct an online testing round, an online video interview. So we started as a question development company, and then we became full-fledged software company where you can do online testing, skill testing.
That's great. I love hearing the evolution story. It's just so neat. And you guys have been around for what is it, 5 years now? Yeah, roughly five
Yeah,
years. Is that right?
5.5 years. Yeah, roughly like that.
That's awesome. I'm curious, how do you think of bootstrapping versus taking on funds?
So, when we started, uh, we did not really know what company is, and how to form a company, or how to go about how much money do you need. For the first 1.5 year, definitely we didn't know what's gonna take to build this company and how to really manage the cash. So we never knew that. All we could do was like fund ourselves, some pizzas, night outs, drinks,
Yeah.
and we it was just like friends driven company. We used to take each other's help. And but what happened when we shifted to, when we came out of our university, we bought a space back here in Bangalore, and we started writing, you know, to our friends and families, hey, look, this is the idea, and we're working on it. I happened to email some of my juniors in other universities who would most likely come and do, internship with us.
Okay.
And we said, look, I'm gonna fund your food, but I cannot give you money, salary, and just let's let's catch up and start writing this code. So I could build that team because I defined the problem statement for them. Look, if you come for the next 1 month or 2 months, this is the problem that you're gonna solve. Sitting in this office, you're expected to write so much of code, and you're expected to build this feature and blah blah. So people who found it challenging, interesting, they join us. So till that moment, we never realized of fundraising, because people used to believe in our problem statements and come and help us and solve for us. But then slowly we wanted to scale, we wanted to invest more in product,
Yeah.
and we realized the need. So we spoke to a couple of investors, but no success. We ran out like in multiple offices, no success. Uh, and then again, like one day, like one random day, I just sat in our office and like, do we really need money? Like, what do we need it for? Like, because I'm just running around and nobody's trusting. So probably, let's ask for money from customers. And then by that time, I started educating myself from internet and learning about like how companies work, how companies raise money, and all that. And then India's SaaS ecosystem was already evolving, and we happened a couple of years later. We happened to meet a couple of really great people, in the SaaS ecosystem in India. And like you might have heard Upekha,
Mhm.
it's one of our mentors, Prasanna. So there we had really understood that you don't really need cash of VCs and investors to grow your company. All you need to do is like solve a problem for customers and ask your customers for the money. So, and we continue to do that. While we were already doing, our mentors gave us more confidence,
Mhm.
and we started trusting, believing in ourselves that we don't need money. Fortunately, we solved the customer's problem, and customers gave us enormous cash. And till today, we are bootstrapped.
Wow. That's amazing. That's it's definitely respectable for you all to be around as long as you have and to be bootstrapped. That's amazing. Like you're in a small minority of companies that have successfully done that.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about the role of mentorship. So I looked over the LinkedIn recommendations that were left for you, and almost every single one, the person shares how great of a mentor you are. What? Why? Like, why is that important to you?
So, first of all, thanks that I was surprised getting reviews, for a mentor, because I'm relatively the same age group as the people who gave me
Okay.
the reviews. Yeah, couple of them are senior to me. Uh, I don't know. Like, to be honest, like I just speak to people, work with them in the team, and what I've really focused around is understanding the problem.
Mm.
People, think problem solving is, uh, you know, mm, it's is actually going and solving the problem. I think problem solving is understanding the problem first and solving it later, right?
Mm.
Like I remember the quote of Albert Einstein, which is one of my favorite, that if I have to save this planet, I'll spend like 55%, 55 minutes probably understanding the problem, and 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes to solve the problem, to save the world. So what I've seen, like especially when you are in young age, when you jump into problem, problem solving mind. You have to think through first principles. You have to think through basics. Like think through frameworks. Develop that mental models in yourself which can help you think clearly,
Yeah.
and then go about problem solving the problem. At the same time, have enough patience in yourself. Like look at the examples. One important thing that I've really worked for me is you can get answer to any question only by two ways, which is either you know the answer or you assume the answer,
Hmm.
right? So the the art of, like, you cannot know everything because internet is enormous.
Yeah.
There's no limit to knowing the answer. So this so your friend, your most of the time your friend is the assumption. So you need to make yourself better in assuming, and better in, make yourself more accurate in finding the answers through assumption, right? So as we grow, experiences gives you a lot of feedback that you people who are who have become successful, they improve their art of accuracy of assumption,
Hmm.
right? So I've really believed in this art of assumption, which I call it like keep improving the accuracy of assumption, right? Keep training. You are a machine learning model. Keep training yourself. Improve your accuracy. So your brain
So
works
let me
like
pause you
that.
for a second.
So
So, one second here. So
yeah.
how do you improve that accuracy? Is it a matter of doing postmortems on past decisions? Like, how are you refining that accuracy of your assumptions?
So it's there are two ways, right? One is the you take the assumption and quickly go and research about whether the result was right or not,
Okay.
was it correct or not. And then you give a feedback to your assumption and say, look, this assumption did not work, so probably I'm gonna change my nodes, and I'm gonna change my way of thinking.
Hmm.
And you need to constantly give your feedback. So in a day, if you say think about like 50 things, and out of 50 things, if assume 10 number of times, you're gonna give feedback to your brain like 10 number of times, and keep on improving. So it's an iterative process that you constantly need to give feedback to your brain, and keep assuming, and take decision about the after the assumption, and make yourself accurate in assumption, because you cannot learn and know answer to everything.
Right. I, would you agree that, well, this is true for me. I don't know if you think it's true for most. I don't often enough take the time to just stop and think, to stop and consider the decisions that I made, even on the micro level, like on a daily basis, just stopping to consider past decisions. Is that something that you're intentional about?
Sorry, I didn't get the question, Jim. Can you elaborate
Yeah,
a bit?
I'm trying to formulate in a way that even makes sense to me. But to be able to give yourself that feedback, it requires you taking a pause and actually considering the decision versus just moving so fast that you don't take a moment to consider past decisions and learn from them.
Hmm. Yeah, understood. So yeah, it's a mental model that you need to develop on your own. So brain works like a palace, right? It's a you know you need to give a lot of patterns to your brain. You need to just make sure that how what brain is comfortable in, and you need to sort of like understand the cognitive science, brain science, those theories. I will not get into details, but I'm just trying to simply put it like this, that uh, when you get hit with a problem which probably doesn't have an absolute answer,
Mhm.
you're gonna assume that this is probably, let's assume that if I do this, I'm gonna get the result. And if the result doesn't come, you again come back to the previous stage, and keep your self ready to listen to the feedback that you give. Most of the people, they assume, they fail, and after that they don't correct their assumption, right?
Mm.
And because of that, probably they don't make improve their mental models, and improve their accuracy of assumption.
Yeah.
So mm, like I think it's all about iterations, and it's all about like how quickly can you make your brain give you favorable results after assumption.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I want to shift a little bit and bring up something that you shared in a post about 6 months ago. Among other things, in this post you wrote, when you have both customers and a product, you've got to learn people management. So this is rather broad, but I'm curious what your journey has been like on the kind of the soft skills side of people management and leadership within your company.
Sure. So, Jim, just let me connect the dots there, because what I meant in the post, uh, as a first-time founder, people do not believe in you because, you've not done anything. You're new face,
Mm,
and people need to see you. What exactly do you have to offer? So, I feel first-time founders, when they don't have product and they don't have customer, they need to learn perception management,
mm,
storytelling. And the simple example is the storytelling. You need to learn storytelling so that your perception about you is set in the right way. In the audience, they start understanding you clearly, right? Even if you don't have a product, even if you don't have a customer, but if you have a story, you set your perception in the
yeah.
right way. So that's number one.
Okay.
Number two, in the journey, generally a first time founder comes and goes for finding a customer. And you build a small product, you build a buggy product, but you've got a customer, and there's a customer who's going to use your product.
Hmm.
Now when he's using your product, he'll give n number of complaints, he'll get into panic mode, and he's like, why the heck I trust these guys? And so I paid them like $100, and I'm still getting so many bugs. So most of the stakeholders, in that point in time, is in panic mode.
Hmm.
Probably your engineers are in the panic mode because they're gonna get screwed, and your customers are in panic mode because you're gonna get screwed. So you need to learn panic management, and that's what I say. We need to learn panic management. How do you learn panic management? It's a different story. Let's not get into detail, because it's about, like, how do you control the damage, how you like really make your customers comfortable. Like, okay, great, it's a disaster, but let me solve the problem for you in on a way.
Right.
So that's panic management. And then when you have built, stabilized your product, so that's where, and say you have got a product and you've got customers both, you got to learn people management, because as a founder you need to you know so like do the division of labor, right? You need to also do division of powers within your team, and you need to delegate your work, to delegate your objectives and functions to your team. There are too many people, there are people from your company side and people outside the company. So you don't just manage your team, you also manage the team of your customers,
Mm,
because the buyer, from the customer side, gave you responsibility to manage their team.
right.
So generally, people think, that it's a team of your own company. No, it's a team of your buyer as well.
Hmm.
You got to manage them. You got to manage your team, connect them together. Treat them all as one family, and start managing people. And when I say managing people, it's not about really managing. It's about leading yourself towards excellence. So that you can make others as leaders, right? And then that's what I really meant by people management. So it's not like typical, MBA kind of people management, but
Yeah.
it's about you know treating all these folks as one family, and guiding them towards their success, and their aspirations.
Yeah. So my co-founder and also the co-host of the Few Show, David Tran, he had a guest a few days ago, and I apologize, I don't remember his name, but he was talking about finding A players in what he called rare individuals. So he was describing this as basically you have A players, which I think we have a fairly common definition of, and then rare individuals
Yeah.
are at the level above A players. And I'm curious how you think of that. And then, like, it's obvious to me that a fundamental key to success in almost all startups is hiring rare individuals and A players. Where We're at just over 40 people in our organization now. And it's something that we're really focusing on because we recognize that to be successful long term, we need people like this. How do you think about that, and how do you go about finding them?
Yeah. So um, I think uh, I think I think I came across some situations like that where I really need to decide and hire people only on the basis of A player and the rare talent. So
Mhm.
if I have to say, I think I think I check for two things, really in such people, and those two things is understandability and explainability. So it's about like how do they understand and how do they articulate. So that's just two things that I really think care about: your understanding skills and your explaining skills. So uh, I have hardly found a great combination, to be honest. There are folks who understand it well, but probably lack the explaining expertise, and the people who are great, in communication with great skills, but then understanding the nuances and understanding the areas which you really want to like accelerate is hard. So as the first time founders, as entrepreneurs, what you gotta do is you need at least two three such people in your team who think like you, because the founders are generally, they are generalists, right? They have to develop an expertise, a forte in themselves, which they understand things, a a problem from marketing, a problem for sales, from problem for customer success. You got to understand it clearly,
Right.
and you're gonna probably you'll not be there with any support system, and you're gonna explain to somebody without doing any PhD in any of these streams.
Yeah.
So it's a rare combination which I think matters a lot, and it's about like understanding who is the person who can understand things effectively and explain things effectively, because they are the people who are gonna build team for you. They
Yeah.
are the people who are gonna do majority of your work. Yeah.
Yeah. Semi related to that, you shared a statistic on LinkedIn. I didn't document who it was attributed to, but said 89% of employers think employees leave for money or for more money, but in reality, only 12% do. So I'm curious, like, and it didn't say so on the post, and maybe it did in the article, but why do you think people leave? If they're not leaving because they want to seek more money, what is the reason or the main reasons?
One of the main reason of why people leave is because people don't like the people they're working with. Is the like most common reason. Um, if candidates or talent in your company, they don't get like in a good company and good team, if they get like really a-hole people, like it's gonna be it's gonna be tough for them, and they decide to like quit the company. So attrition is a problem, and attrition is attributed to there are a lot of factors. I don't have enough expertise to answer about like the real nuances about attrition, because in our company we have not seen much attrition, because we are a very friendly and culture, and we've always nurtured a great work culture environment in our company. But then talking about enterprises and companies who struggle with attrition, a couple of my conversation with them proves that number one is the culture, and number two is the fast moving environment, Jim. So the fast moving environment, what I mean is people want to like switch over in search of opportunities. At least in Asia, I've seen that culture where people want to like quickly try and succeed faster, and try out a bunch of things before they like really decide to settle. So but that's a secondary reason. The primary reason I feel is the work culture, is the people who they really work with every day in day-to-day life.
Yeah. Are you including leadership in that as well?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
leadership is important. I learned a I learned a quote quite recently. I don't remember the person, but I learned it from the internet. It was about leadership is not about leading others. Leadership is about like excelling yourself, like leading yourself towards excellence, right? So if leaders start leading themselves instead of leading others, like leading themselves towards excellence, they become the de facto leaders, and they become uh, people look after them because they set the examples. They're the example setters.
So how do
So
you
I think
define that for
companies
yourself?
need to, yeah. I have always kept invested, myself into learning more. I've always shared things with my team members, and it's about like learning and giving. So for me, the most important thing is like learn from others. So there are only two ways to learn. Either you learn from people around you or you learn from books around you,
Hmm.
right? So there's no third way. I mean, you cannot like really find a third way to learn. So it's just learning from people around you. You learn from their mistakes, you learn from their experiences, and and books around you. You learn from the recorded archives.
Yeah.
So I have kept my sources very limited, and I continuously revise them. So I focus on revisions and minimum resources, and try to upgrade myself. Try to read everything like thrice or four times, and like really create that pattern in my head, and set some fundamental rules for the life, like set some fundamental frameworks, for the life, which is undeniably is an undeniable truth, and that's something that we should really follow in life. So setting up those frameworks, towards your thinking, towards your behavior, towards your towards your processes, like really works. So I've always done that, and then when the same is conveyed to the team members, they find it beneficial. Initially they find it difficult to understand, like, hey, what the heck is framework? How do I think about this? Or how did you come across this? Sounds like really strange or weird. But then after trying, and after like seeing, okay, this guy was saying something like really logical the other day, I think this works. So people continuously see you, they follow you, and if you repeat the same thing, I mean, you have to repeat, because people listen to many things these days, and unless you repeat,
It
you
becomes a mantra, basically,
you'll
huh?
not be able to like, yeah,
Hmm.
not be able to explain to people effectively. So
Mm.
for me, I just keep my resources very limited, and do revisions and upgrade myself, and try to create some frameworks and fundamental models.
Do you follow Naval Ravikant?
Mhm. No, I don't.
He's one that I think you would really enjoy. And then I know Shane, is it Shane Parrish that talks about mental models a lot? Have you
Yeah,
heard of
he
him?
talks about mental models.
Who are some people that you
Yeah,
really
yeah, what
enjoy
are the things?
following?
I think a couple of names would be, um, I have been following Elon Musk, for sure. I've been reading Peter Thiel's books. Then in India, I have read Swami Vivekananda's book. I'm probably you're aware about. He was a religious leader, a spiritual leader.
Okay.
So his name is Swami Vivekanand. Uh, then I have learned recently that Cal Newport book called Deep Work,
Uh-huh.
and so that's one of my favorite book this year, and it's really good. Um,
Agreed.
and I just research about different events in international relations, foreign relations, and follow some books of one of the uh, member of parliament here. It's called Subramaniam Swamy.
Okay.
So he's a Harvard alum, so in PhD in economics, the student of Paul Samuelson. I love to read books of Paul Samuelson. He's the father of economics, so this really worked for me. So these are some few people. Yeah, probably not very popular, not very
Well, that's
trendy
great
names,
though.
but
That's great.
uh,
Yeah. Related to that, I'm curious what area of interest you have that's unrelated to business shapes or helps you build your philosophies around business.
so there are two areas which I like, really enjoy learning about. One is the international economics, which is, what's happening around how people really think about resources
Hmm.
around the world. Um, be it human resources or the resources of the planet. And second thing which really intrigues me is the the combination of geography, the culture, the history, and the economics. So all together, so I just see geography, history, the culture, and the economics. How do they come together to create a existential structure? So, existentialism is something which I really care about and really, feel excited reading about. Like, how does something exist? How does a system exist? How does a business exist? How does world exist? How does relationships exist? So, existentialism is something which I love to research about, like how things exist, and I really love to think about. I wish I could have done some research papers around those areas. So if I get time. But yeah, I really love the combination of these four.
Now, do you apply these to your business? And if so, how?
Um, not really. Like, it'll be too early for me to like say that I've really applied much of these. But yeah, small parts. I have been trying to apply. As in, so one thing I've put up, like in our business is relationships matters a lot. So, for example, if you have to, build a great business, you got to build a great relationship with your customers.
Yeah.
And whether you call it customer success, customer support, or what, but I feel it's a human to human interaction that
Yes.
like really works by bringing real change in their life. And mm, you know, the way I think that humans exist. At the end of the day, you talk to humans, and humans help you. Humans pay you. You help them, they help you. So the way you guys exist, and the core of that existence is the relationship that you share with your, with your customers, with the people who you work with. So I think, but that's pretty much an obvious analogy. But it'll be early for me to like really make some models out of my understanding about existentialism, and then really put that in the business in practice and make a theory or equation.
Yeah.
I'll share with you if I come across to get some success.
Yeah. That's great. Well, let's wrap up with this. I'm curious if you were to go back
Sure.
5, 10 years and give advice to your younger self regarding the startup experience, what would you share?
So, first of all, the same thing going back, I'll share that, if anytime you get a bias that you've understood the problem, you have not. So, invest more time in understanding the problems of the customers, invest more time in understanding the problems that you're trying to solve,
Mhm.
right? Most of people get into solving solution mode without understanding the problem. So, do not build a product unless you understand the problem clearly, right? Because 1 or 2 years of your life or 3 years of life is really really important. And even we had wasted some of our important precious time. I would advise that you know do proper research, understand problems, and try to like come up with enough reasonings to convince yourself, like that this is the problem that I'm going to solve, for. So same Einstein quotes apply here, like go about understanding the problem. And second thing is believe in yourself. Belief is very, very important contributor to your success. Believe in yourself and your team members that you work with. Do not get impatient with your team. Even if if the success doesn't come, keep believing in yourself and your team members. Focus on the process, not on the people, right? Like what's your approach? Don't worry about the results. Focus on your process and try to understand each and every sub step of your process, right? One good way of focusing on the process is to think like DQ algorithms, right? Like divide the problems into sub problems. you know don't hurry and don't rush much. Be patient about solving a problem. Solve smaller parts and then keep on growing. So build that kind of mental model in yourself. So these are the two advices I'll give. And yeah, one third thing which I learned from my mentors is you know uh, it it takes a village to raise a child. So
Amen to
it's
that.
uh, it's right. And you have to first know what do you know, who do you know, and the people who what do they know, and try to build your companies try to build your startup with that formula. That's called if principle of effectuation. So learn how to be effectual in building your company as early as possible. Do not rush up in taking loans and borrowing money and uh, raising money. It's just time waste until you really have a product market fit.
That makes sense. That's a great place to end. I really appreciate your graciousness with your time. I know it's late in Bangalore right now, so you're at the end of your day and you shared so much wisdom and experience. I'm just so grateful for that, and I'm confident that our viewers will appreciate too. I want to end with your personal mantra, which I think it needs reminding. Life needs clarity, conviction, confidence, and connectedness. I love that. So the website for We Create
Thank you.
Problems is wecreateproblems.com, which is an awesome domain. Obviously, you're on LinkedIn. We'll share those links. What's the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to learn more about the product?
I'm reachable on my email address, which is abhiabhay @wecreateproblems.com, which is the domain.
Great.
So just four letters, which is abhi, and then I'm there on LinkedIn. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn, and yeah, these are the two channels. I'm not so popular on Twitter. I'm not really using it because most of my customers are on LinkedIn. So yeah, these are the two channels. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for your time. I hope you have a nice night.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Cheers.